So the topic I chose to research and look into was the case study on affection that was executed by Harry Harlow and his wife, Margaret Harlow. This study was called Mother Love. I chose this case study and topic to elaborate and further my understanding of this experiment and its effects on the science and psychological field, as well as the fact that this study was covered very little in the chapter it was mentioned in. So the point of this study was to see how attachment correlated with other physical things. They wanted to see whether monkeys would go to a comfort cloth-covered mother or a wire mother that had a bottle in it for nutrients whenever they were faced with either a fear stimulus or just normal conditions, to see which one they would go to. They asked themselves the question, what is an infant's love for its mother? And use this to determine whether affection was more nature-based or nurture-based, or if it's an interaction between the both. So the way they executed this study was they separated infant monkeys from their mothers at birth and gave them some of the monkeys a cheesecloth for their comfort and to resemble the mother that they would have had if they weren't separated, or some of the monkeys weren't given anything at all except food to live. Some of these monkeys that were deprived of a mother or any comfort straight from birth had some exposure to not knowing if they wanted comfort from a cloth mother or if they wanted the wire. So usually they, when faced with the fear stimulus, would just run and protect themselves. And so some of the things that they found to be true was they found something that I found interesting, that even though some of the monkeys were raised and nursed on a wire monkey, even when given the option, they still went to the cloth mother. Even if they still fed on the wire mother, they kind of switched between both of them to get both options. And another thing was when the monkeys were put in a room with a wire monkey and a cloth, they still went to the cloth, but it wasn't helpful and they weren't completely calmed by it, as most people thought they would be. And whenever they were placed in a room with a cloth mother and a scrap of cloth, they went to the mother because the cloth that they were given resembled the mother. And Harlow believed that the confidence some of the monkeys had, they knew already that their mother would protect them, so that's more of a nature-based concept, is that even without knowing a mother, they would still look to that as their protector, even though they never had the option to learn that a mother was their protector. When they reached a part in their experiment, they wanted to see how much a monkey would try to reach its mother that it's been separated from for 6 months. And the monkeys almost always immediately remembered that they wanted to see their mother. So without skipping a beat, they would run to their mother as a need for security. There was one monkey that was deprived of a mother that I mentioned earlier, had no affection, and like I said, instead of going to a monkey that was wire or cloth, they just ran to the corner and just protected themselves. And so a lot of this study was seen as unethical to the psychology field, and the experts because whenever they placed these monkeys that were separated from their mothers back into the wild, the majority of them did not know how to socially interact, protect themselves, and help themselves. So they missed out on that child development, and almost always those monkeys did die. And this wasn't the only experiment that Harry Harlow executed. He also made another one called the Pit of Despair, which raised more ethical questions regarding the use of animal testing in the psychology field. While on the surface the study did seem like a good way to understand affection and the relations to the nature and nurture concept, the separation that they had from their mothers at birth was cruel and unethical, and just a bad way to execute a study relating to affection. So I leave you with this. Was the effect it had on the monkeys' well-being worth the knowledge it provided in the end?